What is going on, everybody? Justin Thomas here from TopShelf Fandom, along with W. Axel Foley, who has agreed to do about a half hour. Now we're down to the last 5 minutes of getting this set up so we can each watch the video, and then we're going to give some commentary on it. What are we going to be talking about? Westworld. Why are we going to be talking about it? Because that's what the fuck we talk about. And this is just a kind of a reaction. We both have been out of the loop. I've been just totally focused on Thrones for the Con of Thrones. Axel covers every single television show that's known to man. So we are definitely Westworld centric in many, many ways. And I would like to say that we are some of the leading, especially when it comes to podcasting, as well as our after show authorities. But we are coming at this in a layman's approach. I have not even read any articles. So we're going to give you our insight. It is not fact, it is opinion, and it is opinion that's usually not as well researched because we don't really have a lot of information on what's going on set, even though it's available. So I promise I will start reading that soon. So, okay, Axel, we're going to watch this, so I'm going to mute myself, and then we're just going to give our quick thoughts about it and see what we're feeling, man.
We all have our role to play. There are machines in this world, but not like us. You and I have no mother, no father. We're alone, outnumbered. We have to be smarter than them, or they'll find us, and they will kill us. Show this world for what it really is.
Why'd she bring you back?
Ford made each of us for a reason. Even Dolores. I came back to find someone who could help me. Someone strong enough to stop her if it comes to that.
These violent delights have violent ends.
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
I thought your world would be so different from mine.
Smiling.
There isn't any difference at all, is there?
Just like you always do, till the blue skies dry.
It won't take much to bring it all crashing down.
Far away.
I do not feel unprepared because I don't know about this season. This is as much as I'm going to know about this season. I like the trailer. This is fun to do. I'm hoping that by the time the next season comes out, I don't know anything because I do prefer to be kind of more spoiler free. This is giving me a good touch, and there's a little bit of stuff that I feel like maybe it gets deeper in, but I think we're seeing a lot of the first 3 episodes here. That's what I would guess.
It'd just be fair to say that this is usually your approach. You don't take the purist approach of like getting all the information. I am not afraid of spoilers. Like I utilize any information they give me, but you take that Pierce approach of avoiding and just experiencing it as anybody else would, which is why I like the juxtaposition here. And so I think that what we got here was definitely an introduction into the world, quite literally, in which they are embodying. And we see a lot of mirroring, right, in every sense, from the outside the park to inside the park, as we always do, even with the cinematography, right? Even when you see Dolores walking by the drink cart and you see Maeve walking by, which seems to be Italy during World War II.
Yeah, Italy or France.
Either one. Somewhere where Nazis are. Yeah. Where weren't the Nazis?
It would be France. Yeah. I think it was France. That's I'm going to go with France on this one. The way she's dressed, the way it looks, the kind of the music they're playing. I'm saying this is like Vichy France. And I think that, there is mirroring, man. There's a lot of stuff going on. Bernard's outside the park. Looks like he's trying to get Maeve to take on Dolores. The shots look amazing. I mean, this show, I think sometimes we forget that, along the lines of when we talk about Game of Thrones, the kind of pageantry and the production value of it, that when you go away from Westworld and then you come back to it, you realize it shows this is one of the, if not right now, most expensive shows on television. Yeah, and it looks like it.
We ignore the visual of the visual medium.
It's absolutely amazing, man. Like the shots are like, this is like a movie. This isn't like a TV show.
And it does have a high television budget, but not a high film budget. So sticking on to just Westworld, I obviously they put her into a new narrative, and it's very, very oppressive. I mean, I don't think that there could be anything that could click, quicker with oppression than Nazis. So it's not good. Maybe we get a Casablanca type of deal here. I don't know.
It looks to me like she is very much in charge of what's going on. The way that her face is, her body motion, she's beating up the French. It looks like she's got one guy and she's like torturing him at some point. She's got him tied to a chair.
Well, she's not easy to keep down, but they're trying to objectify her, definitely.
You know what? I don't know, dude. It looks to me like Maeve may be in more control here and still playing out her narrative within the park and be more concerned with what's happening in the park than she is in the outside world. And Bernard is coming and saying, like, look, I know you want to free your people here, but guess what? Dolores got out. It looks like she's getting her own little army, and with her Charlotte bot, recruiting Aaron Paul. And he's like, look, we got a bigger battle to fight here. This is like the top level shit. Forget about the park. And it looks like Maeve might get out of the park pretty quick. That shot when she goes up in a helicopter, it looks like, that's what it's supposed to convey, but I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I think it's interesting. I mean, there's a few different takes on that. She could either actually be immersed in the narrative and need to be broken from it again. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's a possibility. She could be that you're talking kind of like I don't like it, but we have to, because what I'm saying is the park is not going to reward Maeve for what they are going to try to keep these hosts under control.
I agree. So but we don't know how it was reconstituted, Justin.
We don't,
right?
Not yet. I'm throwing out hypotheticals. So these are all hypothetical situations.
For all we know, you know what I mean? Like
she could be, but
last we know of the park, it looked like they were coming back to take it back, right? But
we know the park's still running. Quite a bit down the road, even up to hundreds of years from that. From
because we see the Man in Black stuff.
Yes, so we know to some capacity.
But even that was a question to me of where that was and when that was. So I'm not ready to. I think that that's what's fun about a trailer, and that's why but haven't gotten into, like you're saying, news reports or set reports or anything. So in my mind, this just belies that Maeve seems to be in more control. Every shot we're seeing her, it looks powerful. There's no one oppressing her, doing anything to her. She's kicking ass. She's taking over. So maybe it's like Bernard's That's the impression I get.
Bernard's motivation to get Maeve is because of how powerful she is.
Yes.
But what I'm posing to you
might be like, stop with the playground.
Yeah.
Let's go into the real
get out
world.
of the cave, get out of the shadows, come into the world, and help me. And this is in this way. I'm with you on what you're talking about. I just think you're misconstruing how I'm saying it, or I'm not conveying it properly. Probably the second one. But here's the thing: like, she's powerful. That's the thing. She is the weapon. She's the she's a worthy adversary to Dolores. He must go and recruit her. So whether or not they're punishing her, whether or not she's in control of that, all we need to know from this trailer, and all this trailer is conveying, is she is powerful, and she's powerful enough to potentially, with Bernard's help, have a unite and stop Dolores. Whether or not that's the route, maybe they come to some common ground, but blah blah blah. Basic broad strokes here. That's the weapon that Bernard needs. He's willing, and he's looking like some brother out. The name of the film.
Oh, brother, where art thou? Yes, it does look like that, doesn't it? And there's a question too there of where Bernard is, right? Because at this point in time, coming into this trailer, we've been introduced to so many ideas in the second season that could be like farther along. I'm not totally convinced that that's a real representation of Bernard. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, if we're going to keep this short, we can't get into that. I mean, Jesus.
Well, it's the same thing as we see Aaron Paul. And then when we were talking about this before, you see an arm and it looks like a white guy. Bernard is speaking and he says they made us different or something. Mm-hmm. And then you see, but it looks to me like a white man, and he's opening up and kind of fiddling with his arm. Yep. This is pulled back. And there's a shot of Aaron Paul, which looks like a similar color on like a palette in the background on the right side. And so I'm assuming it might be him. And we were talking about, like, maybe we have to see, that doesn't necessarily mean he's a host. He could have a robotic arm. We don't, now that we're on the outside world, all those crazy medical advances that we heard the Man in Black, right?
Yep.
Had you saved my sister, and the world has changed, disease is eradicated. We saw the other trailer where Aaron Paul was it looked like he was playing a game, but also involved in some kind of heist or something, but we weren't sure whether it was real or not. And here it looks like he's part of Dolores's team. And when we saw her,
as well, I'd like to say, every shot they take makes sure to look like he is as reluctant as possible, right?
And that's a great point, because we also see some other shots with, like, Charlotte touching a robot, the security guys shooting down a robot. So what would be the first step in Dolores taking over? It would be taking over, like, the household items, right? That's the old, isn't that how iRobot starts?
Yeah.
It's the household items start revolting.
Complex. It's, they evolve.
Wrote this shit. Your refrigerator kills you.
It does. By sugar and, diabetes and all that, and, obesity.
This gets me excited, man. I have to say, I'm buzzing right now off this trailer. I'm very excited. Yeah. I love it. It looks great. It's introducing crazy new stuff. I don't feel like I'm super spoiled by watching it. I'm getting kind of an idea. But I'm excited. I'm glad that you told me to watch it.
Well, let's just do this. Broad strokes here, because we've got, Dolores, just say agree or disagree, because I know you got a shortage of time here. And we both like to wax poetic. And, like, so now I'm trying to fast track it. I'm trying to play your part here now. And I'm
ready to go shot by shot, Justin. I've got it scrolling in front of me.
Okay, well, here's the thing. So this is what I'm seeing from this trailer. Number one, a mother feel to Dolores for the first time, to actually embrace that. She's coddling whoever's in Charlotte's body. Let's remember that's not Charlotte. So they look like they're utilizing Charlotte in this screen that should be coming up right now. To me, I mean, there's no way to tell, like, if that's Delos, like, HQ or not, but it would make sense that the reason that they have a Charlotte host is because they want to have somebody.
We talked about this last season, dude, that she's got the enemy that I remember one of the last things we were talking about is we're saying, what can Dolores do? And we're like, Oh, I don't know. She just has the in to the chairman of the board of the most important company in the history of the world, right? Like,
Yep.
you see a shot of Charlotte coming out of this cool plane, which is another awesome design touch. Like, the production design on this is amazing, and it's just a beautiful shot. Yeah, that's interesting.
Also, too, in the first trailer, there was a lot of commentary on. We saw one very futuristic-esque, and it's very much like this plane flying down. And some people were speculating on that could be a different park. And I even mentioned because there's always a possibility. But this is more confirmation to me that this is the norm of transportation. This is not like, because we only saw this one really futuristic plane last trailer. This is more confirmation to me that like that's not a park, that this is the world and this is the technology. That's not that big of a deal. So we hear her say also, we don't have family, we're alone, and she picks up the pearl at that point. That tells me she's thinking very, very deeply about how, because she only has so many people that are available to her, and she can only craft so many essentially family members, essentially allies, not essentially, actually allies for her. So she needs to make the right decision. She's saying we don't have, there's this disadvantage to us as well, because like, I don't know, I don't care for my family that much, but a lot of people, the humans are going to be sticking together. No, I'm joking, but I think that's a general sense of the camaraderie, the camaraderie.
But it seems to be this though. The trailer seems to build, and that's what I like about it. And I think the creators made this trailer. I haven't read anything yet, but I would posit that they did, because I know that HBO gives them a lot of control over this stuff. I don't think this is HBO marketing. And there's a theme that builds with that family stuff from her picking up these 4 pearls in front of her, right? And 2, Charlotte touching that robot, the security guys doing that. So what I see is maybe her quickly realizing that what she felt, that they had escaped into the outside world where they were so alone, right? That only those 5 of them, perhaps, that she trusted, until she really opens her eyes, Neo style, and realizes that she has control of the entire world, because all of these humans are dependent on the technology and the AI and robotics that she can now control.
Yes.
So I think that's an interesting, that makes me think, and I don't want to spin too deep, but it's very interesting to me. And some of these flashes made me think of BSG, and also of that one season, which I actually liked, that one season of that BSG prequel that they did, Caprica. And this had some Caprica-esque shots and stuff to it. And I'm just wondering, and by the way, Ronald Moore is doing a new show on, I think it's the Apple service, which looks a little interesting. But that's a kind of concept, like you were talking about the mother thing, right, Justin, which I thought was cool that you cued into that that Dolores will be this. She was a warrior, because remember, she's not Dolores, right?
Yeah.
She's Dolores and Wyatt. She's actually a new person, and we should
becoming her own person from the basis.
And
of
out
Dolores
of that,
and
now in a new place, she's becoming a new person, right? Like when we all go to college or something. I'm watching too much Veronica Mars, but now she can become to see herself as the mother of like all of this around her. The buildings, the elevator, that like everything that served humanity has become dependent on these things. She's actually in a much better position than she was inside the park.
Yes, because the technology that has developed, like it's the old saying, that we are essentially perfecting ourselves out of life. We are advancing ourselves out of life. We are making ourselves, rendering ourselves useless. She has no choice. We kept deeming her, and this is something I've said a lot. We keep saying, that she's Spartacus, and we keep giving that mantle to her. And it's like, it was kind of just something she never took on. But now, if she doesn't take on this mother role, which I have on screen, if you have the YouTube up, of her, in the fetal, Charlotte, I believe it's Charlotte, appears to be in the fetal position. I prefer that spooning position as well. She has no choice other than be the mother, else they will not survive. And like you said, it's not just about host and who she creates, which is obviously a huge part of it. Everybody's picking their teams right now. Bernard is Farmer John, and he looks like he didn't go I'm
looking at that again, and that might be Bernard going into his arm. I might not be able to see the skin. I may have jumped to a conclusion about the skin, because when you see him from behind, he's at a table, and it's right before a sweeping wide shot, like a drone shot over this area where he seems to be living, which has an almost Arctic type, like half circle tent house or something.
Yeah, he looks like he's went into isolation.
Yeah, and then and there's like a cool insect like vehicle and a Jeep there, and then in the background there's all these tall, look like smokestacks. Do you see that?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's tough to tell. Now, we're not the Redditors that break this, so we'll let Reddit break this down. But yeah, that could be either
fun, though, because I love doing the shots.
No, I do too. I just, here's the thing is, we're not far off from that technology right now, so it's just not out of the question. And the idea that will be definitely, I think, conveyed is that they are in every way, not that different. So like, this is going to, what you're saying speaks truth, no matter if this is Bernard's arm, if this is actually my arm, which I hope I didn't black out for that long on Count of Thrones. I think I got, hey, if you took my kidneys, congratulations, you bought garbage. So we see the teams being formed, we see sides being taken, we see people being recruited. The question of Aaron Paul's character it's very intriguing to me, for some reason, very intriguing, because he looks very reluctant, but when doesn't he? He also seems to be, like you pointed out, maybe these heists that we see him doing, they aren't, beforehand, they're for Dolores. So she's trying. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Or that it looked to me, this is what if I had to guess what his story, if I'm going to write,
which is what we're doing.
Okay, he's a regular guy who plays video games or is involved in virtual technology. Dolores hacks his system and seeks out people who are good at this to further her goals, because she's smart, right? She seeks out humans the same way the humans sought out the hosts. She finds Aaron Paul. She sets herself up to be the heroine, or perhaps going to try to find him. She ends up in that alley when we see him kind of cradle her or pick her up.
We see the beginning of that shot too. We see
and then she embroils him into this larger conspiracy, right? Ta-da, I'm a robot and I'm going to take over the world or whatever, and you are dissatisfied with it anyway. Maybe she was hacking his emails and she's got a psychological profile on him as well.
Yes.
Because you figure that's what Dolores would do, right?
The scent, she would see who's not happy within this community. He's clearly not happy. Yeah.
And look at all she has at her disposal, all the technology. And then it looks like later on, he becomes you're right. He looks either unwilling, but then again, you're right. Aaron Paul always has that face. So it could be that he's actually into it, and that's just the serious Aaron Paul face. Mm-hmm. I would guess that maybe there's some kind of tension there.
Well, he's going into a very dangerous situation no matter what. I mean, if he is helping them, even if it's not against his will, think about the implications of that. He's going against his
worldwide.
Maybe
he doesn't know she's a host. That's a thing. Maybe when I said that ta-da part, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
we don't know for sure. Let me pose this to you, my tinfoil. Okay. Dolores, since I'm with you on her, that's exactly what she'd be doing. She'd be going through her head and just going through the Wi-Fi. And just like Facebook can find out somebody is a certain, has interests that they didn't know they even had yet. She's figuring out stuff about him. Now, this whole shooting, maybe this is a ruse to draw him in, empathy.
I see. Oh, I'm sorry. What shooting? Because there's a shot here of him on a building, and he looks like he's in some kind of pain.
In the first trailer, this begins. In the second trailer, now we're seeing the culmination and actually the actually before, I shouldn't say, we saw the middle in the first trailer. Now we're seeing the beginning and the end of the sequence. So this guy has a gun behind his back. He's walking in.
The heist, you mean?
No, I'm talking about, if you can see it on screen right now. He's holding her. You see what happens. Remember, because he meets her in this alleyway, supposedly. These gentlemen are walking in with a gun. These could be sent by Delos. Anybody.
Okay, I understand. Yes, I know what you're referencing.
But is it also just sheer luck, or is Dolores drawing him? I mean, this is tinfoil shit here, people.
No, this is fun, but I totally, I'm on exactly what you're talking about, Justin. It seems to me that Dolores would put herself in that situation to make him the hero, because it plays into the idea that he is this Fight Club-like guy, dissatisfied with the world, feels no power, right? Finally, he gets to be the hero.
Give her another William, but one that doesn't turn into a psychopath.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're right. And that's good to make a comparison to that character, because you think as writers, they kind of they've set out certain patterns that they've created. So that void kind of has to be filled, but maybe in a different way this time. Whereas Dolores is the one who is
fish out of water.
Yeah. And also she's the one who has the power here. It looks to me like it begins like that, but we see a lot of shots of him kind of walking with her.
Following.
Exactly. Or it just looks like she's in charge. And I guess maybe that's also because we assume. But there's also a shot, it looks like here, where he has a gun to it. Looks like it might be Bernard.
There's an elderly man that he had. There's some weird elderly dude. And sorry, elderly dude, but you're weird. I got him on screen right now. And there seems to be, I mean, we have to imagine these are major players up in the Delos power structure.
Well, that's who the great actor the French actor whose name I'm forgetting right now, who walks out and it looks like Charlotte's going to take a shot at him, but I think that's a fake out from the trailer.
Yeah,
because it's just using the same kind of similar background but it's not. But if you look closer, you can see she would have to be way farther down, and it maybe is a different circumstance. But what's his name again? Do you remember his name?
Yeah, this shows you how much I've been just in the game. No, I know that there has been, other than Aaron Paul, I have had that, cease and desist from it. So I got him on screen right now, though, but he is a powerful actor. He looks the part. He's got the Goonies around him. So, they're fighting the good fight. But I think that it's going to be interesting, maybe to close it up to, we're dealing with all these ideas, the ideas of the power of story, like we were just talking about, that they're not going to lose that aspect. That was a good point. That they're not going to lose, you referred to them as patterns, but, like it's true, like story, the pattern in their storytelling. And it's all about, she saw how William was able to be, she found herself there. So she understands now that it was a story, that brought him to that point and brought her to her point. So in my, just guessing here, I would play this off as she helps him realize who he is the same way, kind of similar, but she is going to be trying to obviously turn him to her side. Bernard is definitely,
and Dolores seems to be like, that's the thing. I would more see it, Justin, as he being in need of this kind of story and Dolores on her own trip. And that's where maybe some kind of conflict can arise. And if that is, I'm trying to look at this again, if that is Bernard in that shot, that he's holding a gun to his head really quickly, that could be the introduction of Aaron Paul becoming a conduit between the Maeve and Bernard side and the Dolores side, right? Because he becomes a secret agent or whatever, right? Like he's drafted to their side. And then maybe we find out in the last episode, guess what? He's actually a host that Maeve and Bernard created to trick Dolores into taking him in, right?
Yeah,
that's
right.
What I'm talking about, Westworld. We've already figured it out, and it's not even out yet.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing. I agree with you on the point of that. There is, no definitive there is no way we can say definitively that there is not going to be a collaboration between the two. This is being posed as like two camps, right?
That's a great point. They could be misleading us here.
Well, I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but in the end, they're, that's why she brought him, essentially. It's like literally the reason she brought him is to keep her in control. So that does imply that she counts on him stepping in when she's gone too far, and that means that they in the end will work together. I mean, literally, that is her thesis.
Yes, true, but it was also the way that ended was very open, right? Like, you're absolutely right. It was set up that she made a decision that she needed a counterbalance, which is
a weird decision for her to make.
But it makes sense, like, mechanically.
Not if you're trying to get it done.
Well, some people are best when they're challenged, right?
That's true.
Perhaps that she was thinking, but she was also thinking that she owed something as well. I think that's the point, is there was actually something more to it, right?
There's this divinity to them that they hold on to, because Ford, he speaks about this in this trailer. He says Ford made us all for a reason, just as we hear people speak about God making us all for a reason. So we see this in the trailer. So that's a good point as well, because we actually see this, when they ask, why did they bring you back? Ford,
her goal isn't just right in this trailer. You're right. We are setting them in opposition, and she wants to Dolores wants to take over the world, right? Yep. Simple. But
destroy it.
Having watched the two, or destroy or change it, right? But having watched the two previous seasons, we know that she's on her own journey of becoming something new, but also trying to become human. That's become important. So the kind of robotic reasons that she proposed of why she did this with what's his, I'm sorry,
Bernard.
With Bernard, I'm sorry, with Bernard, I was going to say Bernard, but it is Bernard, is because they could be human, right? That is what she says, but what a person does is another thing. And that's an important difference, that, like, when they talk about the Turing tests and things, right? Mm-hmm. That AI and thing has a hard time understanding that people act hypocritically, that they say one thing and do another, and they act like it's natural, and other human beings act as if that's natural. Yes, well, that is an unnatural act, but that's humanity. So that is kind of that's what she did. And I think that what she said is one thing and what she does is another. So as it comes on, perhaps you're right. We'll see something different and they come together, or she expected this to happen. But I think that it looks like Aaron Paul is going to be that conduit, and maybe she knows it too. That's another aspect to it.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, because there's no doubt in my mind, at least, okay, I'm not saying that's how it's going to happen, because as we all know, things don't usually happen how we plan. Excuse me. But here's the thing. Her thesis is that they need each other. Now, there's that divine aspect to it, like I talked about. But we are seeing a lot of... I've got Stubbs on screen right now. We're seeing a lot of people...
Stubbs is back!
And he's showing agency, right? He's making decisions, and it looks like he's attacking staff. So now people... this is finally the part of Westworld that matters. When show about humanity, meaning... what makes us human, not just our organs and our skin, not just biological, like what gives us the right to treat others lesser and give them no whatever, blah blah blah, to objectify and so forth. It goes beyond that. So we're looking at the blurred line, and it's going to keep getting blurred, and she definitely brought him along with her to play a role that she sees necessary in the future, whether or not that's true or not, and whether or not he adheres, because he says, I'm going to try to do everything to stop you, and she goes, that's what I want. Is that what she wants? That's what she wanted in the moment. It could bite her in the ass. I do see it more likely they come together. It seems he's in isolation by the way he's, even from his hair to, the way he's dressed.
Well, because this could pick up many years later, right? This could be like 5 years later, and Bernard has just decided whatever maybe she's been dormant this time, and now it's happening again or something, or she has been kind of figuring things out. We don't know how long it's been, But
he's
that's
trying to figure himself out too, because remember, he lived his life thinking he was a human the whole time and then found out he's a host. So it's opposite. So like if anybody's doing any drinking and thinking, it's him. It's also worth noting on a real note, and I would just want to say it really quick, 'cause you spoke about this briefly earlier. Trailer boutiques usually make trailers. Sometimes it's very, very silly to break down trailers. HBO does tend not to, they do outsource, but they'll send directors.
Dude,
yeah, they usually, with shows like this, because they cannot risk having stuff be shown, like because of what we're doing right now, and even worse.
I also think, you know what I think it is too, Justin? I think that they really just want to make the trailers. I think it's an artistic representation that continues along with the show, and it's a way of these creators, you know, saying this is what we want out there, and this is we want to give you enough to get excited, but you know, not too much that we spoil the fun stuff we have planned for you.
Yeah, they want to showcase what the story is to a point that they're telling you. It almost saves them time in an episode. It's like exposition. You know what I mean? Like I respect it, but I don't get when people are against, like, okay, when promotional material comes out, they're literally asking you, begging you in most cases, to watch it. So they feel it's important for your enjoyment of the show and understanding of the show to watch these materials when this is a official HBO trailer. Now, whether or not, you know, that's always important in the boutiques and stuff to figure out, like, if there's actual creative control, because with a show like this, there's no way they could risk not having it. I'll check. But all I'm saying here is that we have a number of different scenarios. It seems to be Maeve getting out of Westworld, right, or wherever she's at, Nazi World.
Wait, what were you talking about the trailers, man?
That I wanted to preface that, you know, because I get this in comments, because I don't usually break down a lot of trailers, and then the few I do, I get people that say, "Oh, you already do," and I'm always a person, one of the only people on YouTube that say, I understand how trailers are actually made, that they're outsourced. And that a lot of times,
right, that's why I mentioned it before, that I thought that they made this, because the point is that, yeah, it's marketing. I mean, look, trailers are there. It's promotional. It's marketing. It's not like you don't need a trailer, right?
Yes.
Like if they wanted more to the show, they put it in the show. They make a webisode. I don't know. But it's because remember last time they did, and they made a point of coming out and saying, we made this trailer.
Yeah.
For the coming of the year. That's why I thought it was them. And also because I have to say, it's great. Yeah, that's the other reason why.
And they can't risk it with a show like this. They can't risk handing this over to a third party.
There's a lot of extraneous shot. And I'm looking at this more and more, and Maeve is definitely in charge, man. And we only get one shot of the man in black from the top. That's it. That's all we get very quickly.
Yep. And I mean, I think, you know, we'll never figure out where exactly Maeve's standing is in the world, other than that she is not weak. Now, if they're trying, because the question we were posing earlier is are they actively trying to suppress her?
Working with the Nazis? No, she looks like because look.
Well, she could be, and that could be the narrative they put her in. They're not going to be rewarding her. I'm just saying that her powers have not gone away. Bernard realizes this. They don't have a grasp on it. We've seen this. So I think that likelihood, there's a good chance that they're trying to punish Maeve, but it doesn't even really matter. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't matter in the sense of what we're talking about right now.
But see, I think, and you've mentioned that a couple times. I don't know about that. I think she's in charge. I think she's running the show here.
She was, you know, she acted out in there. I mean, this is literally like they're animals or toys that acted out, you know. This is how Delos views them. This looks to be like a pretty shitty situation she's in. But the point is, she has maintained her power. She hasn't been downgraded. She is powerful. It is clear. Every shot shows her, like you said, being powerful. So Bernard says he needs her. Why does he need her? Because she's powerful. Who does he need her for? Dolores. What is Dolores trying to do? It looks like, you know, tear Delos apart from the inside out. It looks like to be the, you know, the Spartacus, again, I'll keep using it, of all robotics and artificial intelligence. Questions that I would have as we see them shooting the humans, shooting this robot, the police. Now, is this a new occurrence because of what happened? How much of what happened in Westworld is disclosed to the rest of the world, and how much has that affected the view of these artificial beings? Like, have they now become, are they being like searched out and destroyed because everybody's afraid of an uprising? Are they fear mongering? Because we see the shot.
Well, based upon what we saw in the first couple seasons, I would say that it would not be surprising that it was covered up.
Yeah, I agree.
Because Delos seems like it just wants to keep on operating, right? And it's like any symptom of corporate greed or malfeasance you could come up with, they've kind of attributed to them in this show, and kind of laziness and ignorance being a top one, right? Of like not understanding what's actually happening. And it also seems, that's why I'm saying with Maeve, I would be under the impression that they came back. She was able to, because the last time we saw her, she was on the stretcher, right?
Yes.
So I think that she was maybe able to cover up her involvement with what went on completely and blend back in, manipulate them every time she was brought back in, and basically be running the entire show from within. So when you're talking about like punishing her, I don't see it. I don't think that there's any power structure, because also Dolores and Charlotte are running the company from the outside, right? So,
well, let's remember, Charlotte wasn't even able to get out of the park, and that they're trying to, and that all hosts, in my opinion, would be subjected to stricter regulation. And there was an uprising. After an uprising of what they consider to be slaves, I'm sure they're not going to be pleased as pie in giving them.
No, I agree with you there, but I think that they feel like they called it, like, they just came through and did what they did.
They obviously,
they didn't. And I think that
she wouldn't be back in the park if they didn't feel that way. All I'm saying is that she's just not going to be in the best of places. I think the only thing, I mean, that's all interesting once we get into the story, and we can debate it for hours. We'll never know. And it will be an interesting aspect to see how they're dealing with it. Yes,
we will know, though. Justin will know when the show comes out.
No, I know. But what I'm saying right now is all that matters is she's powerful. Bernard feels like he needs powerful
to go against
Dolores, and you have the question of they give us like these hints of the culture at the time. Like, this is interesting to me what we have on screen and stuff like that. I'm really excited for. I think that this is Westworld season 2 had every chance in the world to be great and drop the ball. This right here with all these.
Wait, what do you mean it dropped the ball? I loved season 2.
Okay, in my opinion, it dropped the ball.
I Maeve stuff at that. I didn't like the way it resolved the child thing, and I wish they would have dropped that. But I think that I loved season 2, dude. I have no problems with it. Are we going to have to fight on? Are we going to start talking about Lost now on this podcast? I think that
you are so Lost is just like your sensories. You are so accepting of garbage for like that. You as long as the story is good, and 99%, as long as it's good up until that last episode, you're fine. I really first off, I understand that you have to take into consideration that beginning a story in telling, your first 2 acts is much harder than concluding. Most people, that's where they have their troubles. Very well. Trust me, I got a stack of papers that shows you how aware I am of that. But I also cannot forgive, I will not shame it or say it's crap, but I cannot just disregard the fact that they pushed upon all of the messaging that had been present in the show throughout the first season, in what the show really embodies, and then they wanted to do their switcheroo and their shock for shock's sake twist with Charlotte and Dolores, and they threw in a bunch of sentimental and philosophical aspects that like didn't fit the story they told. They told a Scooby-Doo story, and they acted like they gave us an art house film. Or you get what I'm saying? They shoved a whole lot in the last episode to make it seem like things meant more than they did, made no sense. That's all I'm saying. You gotta earn it. You gotta earn it. You got. If you're a
I'm not
smart
going to
show,
disagree with you. And this is something that's interesting. And I know that you and I and Robert from Indie Geek all commented on something about, news that this season was going to be more character heavy.
Yes.
And I have to agree with you there, Justin. I mean, I loved Westworld season 2, but I do agree. And as soon as you said it, the first thing I went to was the Maeve stuff, the character stuff, the kind of the very
the way you said the daughter was thrown out, like, so that's you get all that meaning.
Storytelling, the complex storytelling, the intelligence is there, but it lacked the heart. No one's going to accuse Westworld of being a show that you like shedding tears over. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest, the first couple seasons.
Yeah, in some cases, I think it can.
Sometimes they went to it, but I think overall they needed more character development. So if that's what they're going to give us in this season, and it's going to be more about getting, like you're talking about, getting more deeper into the relationships between the characters of who they are now, not a question of who they are.
Or if they can be. It's a question before of, can we actually do this? Now it's we can for sure. Okay, first season, can we? Second season, okay, yes we can. Can we make it actually work out? So it was the testing ground. They had to get out to be able to do it. And now the third season is, yes, that's been confirmed. We're capable of it. Not only capable of it, but we actually did it because they had, external issues to deal with to get out. So now that QA, or whatever they're, all the Walmart Steven Seagals. But anyways, that's all done with. Now it's, okay, you're on the stage. Opportunity, risk, equal measure. Show us what you got. Show us the decisions you make once you have the agency to make your own decisions. That's interesting.
A great point. You're absolutely right, and that allows us, because one of the problems with the first 2 seasons in character development was not only that the mystery overwhelmed our interest in the characters' motivations, but it was the characters' motivations.
Yes.
And that when you do that, you do lose the kind of emotional agency. And that's a question of the show in itself. What does that mean? What does it mean to be human? What choices do we actually have? I bring up Battlestar Galactica and
which I've heard handles this actually arguably better, and I've never seen.
Have you haven't seen it?
No. I got friends.
BSG is BSG for me is fantastic, but it never kind of reached I actually think Westworld has the potential to do a much better job of it, because I think BSG sometimes was just, I don't know. I don't want to. A lot of
all I've said is I've heard that they got to the sentient point and they let them make decisions.
Circles, or if what we're seeing here is a question of which came first, the chicken or the egg? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, easy.
Or we're seeing the rise of our characters. And I like the idea that season 3 could be more about the rise of our characters, while still kind of trying to figure out where humanity comes from, where awareness comes from. I like those ideas as well. But now I can trust that more, because Dolores is not in a situation where I don't even understand if her memories are real or not.
Yes. None of this more forward controls at all. I've never seen so many people in this age of not wanting to have misogynistic views, of wanting this old white man to be in control. Like, literally, wouldn't it be cool? I'm like, what's fun about that for you? The old white man controlling everything. It seems like that's an unpopular, opinion these days, but that's what people wanted for a long time in this show. Now,
well, I think that I don't want to attribute, social or cultural motivations to people.
My opinion only, disclaimer, but it was a weird thing for a lot of females to say that to me.
Well, I do think that Ford is mentioned here, and I do think that the question throughout the season, and as a question we had last season, is Ford really still in the system somewhere? Like, what goes on? I still find that to be interesting, actually. The
commentary, I believe now, and hopefully is what I hope for, is that now we see not only that other beings can be created that are equal, are arguably better. Let's hope for just equal. But now the creations of gods Ford has become this god to them. So as time goes by,
That's an interesting
you know,
concept.
that because that's the way he's already being spoken of. So imagine as time goes by, now they experience time differently and all this. So yeah, I mean, these are all things that now we have characters to develop, because you're right. The first season is about, you know, essentially more of a question of technology and more of a philosophical view on humans and humanity and the, you know, evolution of our own species itself. That's the story there. Now the evolution has happened. The species have evolved. We have two different types living, trying to live, trying to kill, who knows. Looks like a little bit of A, a little bit of B. So now let's see what happens, because we have characters. You know what I mean? So there was nothing wrong with it before, because that was the story. It's just you can't stretch that for too long. So I'm loving it though, man. And there's just this little niche things that really, really intrigue me, and we'll have to figure out. You know, Aaron Paul is very, you know, I got to believe that it's not bad acting. You know, he does. I was joking about that pouty face of his, and he's good at it, but he is extremely good at his craft. Yeah. So if that's what he was conveying, that's what he was supposed to be conveying.
And by the way, can I say this? That to me, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, but that does look like Bernard to me, that he has a gun to, but it may totally not be, because there's like a shadow, but he's got a beard. The nose kind of looks the same, and he's got a bald dome.
What would your, you know, what
I don't know.
You use your, you know, from your experience in the industry, is that a shot from the same sequence?
Let's say.
I would put my judgment towards no, because you know how trailers work.
No. The one when Aaron Paul has the gun, that has to be from the same, because it's a.
Let me look.
It looks like it's zooming in right on there. But regardless, listen, man, I gotta wrap it up.
There we go.
But I do want to say that I am super excited about Westworld season 3. Just look, we were just talking, and you said, "Hey, let's do it." And I watched. It's like, I don't know if I have a lot to say. I'm not sure. And then here we go. Just this show always makes your mind move, man. And adding new characters, new situations, locations, sets,
worlds, a new world.
This thing looks gorgeous. Just this opening shot of this huge, like almost egg-like, nest-like building. Everything is just amazing, man. The vistas, the shot of the girls on the bed,
the downward spiral again in whatever building. Always Dante's Inferno. Always Dante's Inferno with this show.
It looks great, man. It looks great. I'm very excited. Thank you for
absolutely. Thank you. Sorry that it was so much of me trying to get you to speed up, because I thought we only had 5 minutes. So you know, we switched roles here.
I love it, baby. This is fun, man. What are your final thoughts on the Westworld trailer?
I'm killing like my past, well, maybe that's good, my past reputation of discounting trailers, but these two trailers, even the sneak peek, and I seem to be always on the opposite end. Good friend Robert said he was going to wait for a proper trailer to come out. I was like, oh my God. I was like, you know, like the one time that I do a trailer, the last time, like everybody that always does trailers for everything, I'm the outlier, which, hey, that's good maybe. But I found substance in it, because it was not showcasing Dolores. It was showcasing Aaron Paul's character, his story. So like I took note of that, you know. I mean, and again, Robert Indie Geek is one of the best in the business. It's funny how it works out, you know what I mean? Like I am so excited because of these trailers. Usually I scoff like a pompous man when people are breaking these down. I'm always like, what are they? They're breaking down commercials and they don't even know it. So I'm excited. I'm not scoffing at this by any means.
No scoffing. Thank you for having me, brother.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, thank you so much. And Daily DVR, we're